Well, look at me all riled up on a Monday night. Today, Wizards of the Coast released an announcement on the future of Commander, with WotC finally taking over control of Commander from the Rules Committee, citing the monumental task of managing the format and safety concerns for the RC members as prompting their decision. I'm going to talk about what has led up to this. TLDR, it was idiots with access to the internet. The proposed tier system to give players a shared language around the power level, and the main concern, which is, will Wizards of the Coast be able to prioritise the health of the format over profits when we reflect on the corporate pressures we have historically seen that have led to some wacky decisions? See Magic 30, see the insane release schedule, see MTG propping up their corporate overlords baseline. Let me get this out of the way now. If you are, dear viewer, one of the people who sent death threats to the RC, kindly seek therapy immediately. You have gross emotional problems, and I hope you draw one land hands for the rest of your life if you can find a pod who wants to play with you. I'm personally anti-bans. Just vote with your feet if you're sick of Mr. Mana Crypt and his wacky combo ways. Or a wild thought, just say something, or maybe you're not the main character. Let them be the main character. I, for one, do not mind being stomped by some early Eldrazi. Evening, Marek. And when I heard the ban news, and maybe I'm in the minority here, I took Dockside out of my Grim Captain deck and swapped it in for Leyline of Transformation, and then moved on with my life, resisting the urge to cut small letters out of a newspaper and put together a crudely and grammatically incorrect death threat to a group of people who were doing their best with an absolutely huge task. But let's not mince words. This marks a huge change for our format, and I say ours due to the supposedly socially constructed nature of it, but this move is narrowing the gap between regulation and remuneration. The RC, which of course wasn't completely removed from Wizards, still had enough distance to not be privy to, say, a card designed for Commander like Nadu, and my worry is we, as a player base, ate that bird up. We did not shun Nadu. It popped up everywhere. It was popular, ergo it made money, which is the name of the game for Hasbro. And therefore, will the company that prints money in the form of tiny rectangle cardboard treasures ban it if it becomes too oppressive? Well, the apparent solution to this is the introduction of a deck power tier level system made up of 4 tiers. Here's the idea. There are 4 power brackets, and every Commander deck can be placed in one of those brackets by examining the cards and combinations in your deck and comparing them to lists we'll need community help to create. You can imagine bracket 1 is the baseline of an average pre-constructed deck or below, and bracket 4 is high power. For the lower tiers, we may lean on a mixture of cards and a description of how the deck functions, and the higher tiers are likely defined by more explicit lists of cards. So, a disclaimer of sorts before I voice my concerns. The people who create these incredible game pieces are probably more than likely able to manage and create a tier system that works, and they have reached out for collaboration with players on Discord and should be given time to do so. But Wizards could have blinkers onto creating overpowered cards and placing them in high tier brackets, allowing these cards to remain legal without bans. This would let them continue selling these powerful, popular cards without fully addressing how they might disrupt the overall balance of the format. Essentially, Wizards might prioritize profit by allowing cards that are problems for gameplay to stay in circulation if they fit in with the power level framework, rather than focus solely on the health of the format. And as a predominantly janky player who believes some staples are needed to make those types of decks hum, and had put a dockside in their incredibly janky Grim Captain list, which also features 30 cards with skeletons in the art, because why not? And I like skeletons. Well, I'm not sure a tier list is maybe equipped to handle a deck whose intent is to do the wacky thing, or even necessarily wants to win at all, but includes cards which might be labelled as high tier. Will a tier list be able to function efficiently around that sort of casual deck brewing, which I think is the name of the game, the reason behind our format? You might think this is a very fringe viewpoint, but this is a creative format that sometimes has to lean in on tutors and fast mana, which would be labelled high tier. And how would we make our silly hippo-themed decks viable without them? So where does that fit? My main worry is, will a tier system lead to us seeing the same cards, the same lists, no surprises, no oohs, no ahs, no David and Goliath stories of how you took down those Eldrazi with your rabbits and convoke theme? So tiers worry me. They also talked about how they're going to manage the ban list. They said, we will also be evaluating the current ban list alongside both the Commander Rules Committee and the community. We will not ban additional cards as part of this evaluation. While discussion of the ban list started this, immediate changes to the list are not our priority. Listen, I hope you didn't Sharpie your Mana Crypt and turn it into a Soul Ring for the lols. Because if a more market-driven approach is made to the ban list, are we about to see the cards we just lost make a triumphant return to the high tier of this new system? It feels like the lines between health and profit are going to be seriously tested. This might be a good thing. You get your dockside back, but it'll become a totem for this new shared language to help players navigate this format, which leads me to the final point and the reason we are in this mess. What's wrong with our community where a vocal minority can be so disproportionately vile that the RC steering wheel gets handed over to WotC because of safety concerns? And it's definitely a minority. Me and mine, the UK content community, the nerds at my LGS, we acknowledged the changes. There was some discussion, some were pro, some were against, and then we moved the hell on. This minority have shaped this change, and now we watch with some trepidation to see if Wizard of the Coast, under the umbrella of Hasbro, will prioritise the business need over the format's longevity, or most importantly, its casual atmosphere. And so I leave you with my main concern. How does a tier list affect the casual homebrew? And my own pushback on that as a reflective, rational person is casual players will always find a way to enjoy Commander with or without new rules, new tier lists, while matrix backbending power creep in all its forms. We love deck building, and as long as new and interesting mechanics are introduced, well, let's face it, what's the other masters of their craft? The format can hopefully thrive without being overtaken by the tightening grip of our corporate overlords. It remains to be seen. I choose hope. Some might say that's dramatic, but those people are right. So what do you think? Wizard of the Coast is stepping in to control Commander, and while this could lead to more structure and balance, it also raises concerns about the format's future, especially for casual players. Will Wizards prioritise profits over gameplay? Will power creeped cards dominate, or will Commander remain the casual format we all know and love? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you on the next video.